Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is that time again, and we have a new Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2 is out right now, currently beta on PlayStation, and I'm going to show you the best controller settings I found that I've been using, and a couple of the different things you can do to upgrade your graphics to make it look a lot better, whole lot sharper looking, and just better play experience altogether. So we're going to jump into it real quick, but before we do, if you want to stay up to date with anything Call of Duty on this channel or any other games on this channel, if it's your first time here, go ahead and sub button and bell notification, get notified every time I post a video. Soon as the full game comes out for Modern Warfare 2, of course, tons of different videos will come out for different loadouts, you know, tips and tricks and everything like that. So ahead of time, if you do want to keep up to date with that, go ahead and do that for me. So let's go ahead and get into it real quick. What you're going to do is when you get into the screen here, go ahead and hit the options button. It's a small little button at the top right. When you do, you'll get to this little menu on the right hand side. Go ahead and go to the right by pressing R1, go over to the wheel, and we're going to go down to controller. So first thing you need to do is input device. You're going to see, of course, it's controller. Now this is going to go down. This first one is a preference on button layout, tactical. You're going to see where on this one, it specifically messes with R3 and circle. Of course, I'm talking about PlayStation controller, but if you're on Xbox, you know, it'll move over to that. And if you're also using either a PlayStation or Xbox controller on a PC, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's self-explanatory basically. So I use tactical. You could go tactical, lefty, you know, Charlie, default. So a lot of people leave it on default. I go with tactical. But then you flip. I don't flip triggers. That's if you want to change the shooting and, you know, whether or not you're throwing lethals and stuff like that. So that's completely up to you. Stick layout, I leave it as default. Controller vibration, I turn it off. Because honestly, it's more of an annoyance, and to me, especially if you're on a PS5 controller, it's going to mess up your recoil a little bit on it because it is pretty strong on those controllers. Next, we're going to look at horizontal stick sensitivity. Now with this, I've got it a little bit higher. I'm probably going to lower it down a little bit myself. I actually probably do that right now. I've been messing with it. I'm probably going to have this one at 7. And then the vertical one, I'm going to probably bring this down to about 8. A lot of people run 6 and 6. I run mine a little bit higher. The vertical one's a little bit easier to control. Horizontal, you're moving around and stuff, so I do keep that one pretty high. The vertical one is not too bad. I just keep it about 8. Sometimes I do it 6, but I'm kind of messing around with it right now. That's what I'm currently going to go ahead and start trying with. ADS sensitivity multiplier, I bring it down to 0.7. It starts off at 1, but I want ADS to be a little bit more quicker, snappier for me, so I'll go ahead and do it 0.7. Sensitivity multiplier. With these, I'm leaving them alone. I don't really ever mess with these. Of course, there's new options now for third person because we do have third person modes in this Call of Duty. But yeah, just go ahead and press square and it'll actually expand that down. Same thing with the vertical aim access. I don't mess with that either. Let's go to gameplay. This is going to be stuff that's going to matter. Aim down sight behavior, hold it. That's the ADS. I make sure that's on hold. Sprint. This is different options you can have. I have automatic tactical sprint. A lot of people just call it ATS. That's just where you're automatically running. If you don't want that, you can just have automatic sprint to where you kind of just bump it a little bit more, or you can just turn it off, whatever you want to do. But mine is just as soon as you move forward with the left joystick, you're just running full sprint. It's more aggressive. I kind of like that. Equipment behavior, hold for that. Weapon mount activation, ADS melee, I recommend doing that, just a little bit more easier to control. Interact reload behavior, prioritize reload, that's for your ammo and stuff like that. Sometimes it might catch you if you're trying to mount on something or climb, but most of the time you want to make sure you're reloading your gun so you're not going to get killed. Armor plate, I don't know if that's in here yet, really. That's more of a Rebirth Island Warzone thing. We'll see, but apply all. I have that for Warzone whenever I do it. But that's pretty much it for the controller. Now, when you're on this menu, if you just hit R1, we'll go over to advanced. So target aim assist, I would say have that on. Aim assist type, I have that just set as default. Now when it goes to the curve, a lot of the pros, everybody use dynamic. That's always what everybody always ends up using. So you can pick what you want to, but I recommend do dynamic. That's what basically everybody runs. Now this one, the multiplier for focus, right now I have it at 1, but if you're a sniper, I'd probably bump it down to maybe like 0.8, you know, just for sniping purposes. But down to ADS sensitivity, transition timing, I just leave that as instant, just always have. This Call of Duty, we have a lot more options than some of the past ones, so I'm kind of using little bits and pieces from my past. And then custom sensitive per zoom. This is gonna be a whole lot different. Honestly, I would probably just leave these alone. I'm not gonna mess with them myself. So go ahead and show less. Let's go on down to input dead zones. Now this is gonna be a little bit different. The left stick minimum, you could probably bottom that out if you want to make sure when you press down on the left stick, you know, for L3, it's instant. I've kind of always left it at 0.10. Now the rest of these are going to depend if your controller has any kind of stick drift. My controller don't. It's a brand new controller. I don't have any of those issues, but you have to kind of counteract any of those, you know, moving the right, left to stuff if you do have stick drift. But if you don't, I would recommend just leave it alone. But yeah, the left stick would be the only thing you may want to bottom out if you want that fast option. And let's go down here to, you know, movement behavior, sprint, tactical sprint behavior. I have that set as toggle. Now this is not going to matter if you have it set to where your ATS, to where you're automatically going to be running. But then you would have it to where if you automatically move forward, you could go single tap to start running or double tap. That's completely up to you. But if you're running the ATS on the other one, you don't need to worry about it. And same thing with that one right there, tactical sprint behavior. So grounded mantle, I go ahead and just leave that as on. Automatic airborne mantle, just put it as partial. Automatic ground mantle, I just put that as off. Some of these are just my preferences. If you had stuff in the past that worked for you, I'd recommend just doing that. Invert slide behavior and dive. Standard, pretty much the dolphin diving is you're supposed to slide, you just press it once. If you double tap it, you dolphin dive. I would just leave that as standard. This one we can go in the water. I don't know much about this one yet, so I haven't really got to play with this a lot, of course, but movement, I would just leave it as set as that. Plunge freely, not completely sure about this yet because it's new. Parachute auto deploy, this is a preference. I have mine turned off to where I can control it, because sometimes you're dropping down where you're not going to take damage and you don't really want that popping out all the time. That's just me. Sprinting door bash, I would recommend turning that on as you're running through different doors. When you just hit the doors, they just go slamming open. You can go through them if you want to, but that is a preference. Combat behaviors, ADS stick swap, I would just leave that as off. ADS interruption behavior, this is if you get stunned or if now you could get shocked. I'm pretty sure to work with the shock grenade things you get. I think they're grenades, I'm not sure yet. I got hit with them a couple times, but it's when you get, if you're ADS and it gets interrupted. So you want to have it to where if you just resume, go back to ADS or interrupt, you might be in a bad situation. I would probably let it go ahead and just interrupt you. Weapon mount movement exit, I would turn that on. Then weapon mount exit delay, I would do it short so it's not taking a long time if you're mounting something. Depleted ammo weapon switch, I would turn that on. So if you're fighting in the middle and you're running out of bullets, it'll automatically just change it to your next secondary. Detonation C4, I've always had that on. Now to vehicle behaviors, I've kind of always left these as default. There's a couple I change here, but these are kind of just default. I would do short delay, free look, overlay behaviors. Leave this as toggle. Ping wheel delay, I'd leave it as moderate. Double tap, danger ping delay, I would just leave it as moderate too. I don't really mess with those too much whatsoever. Now we're gonna lightly just touch on some of the graphic things, some things that people know to turn off. If you've never played a Call of Duty game, or most games, some of these things you wanna turn off in games anyway. So world motion blur, turn it off. Look at the right hand side of the screen. If you're moving quick, everything's gonna be blurred. You're gonna lose focus of different players if you're trying to kill them. Turn that off. Weapon blur, turn that off as well. Film grain, it may look cool, but if you're trying to see somebody to get a headshot far away, that grain could definitely mess you up. I just go ahead and turn it off. Depth of field, I would turn that off as well. Fidelity, this is gonna be the sharpness of your game. Now I'll go ahead and say on Reddit, I've seen a couple different people talking about this. I'm gonna try it cranked up to 100, but it gives you sharpness, just makes your picture whole lot better looking. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I may drop it down to 50 if it's a little too much, but yeah, that's something new. So I would go ahead and just turn that on and put it at 100. Field of view, this is a little bit different. Some people run it at 80, some people jack it all the way up to 120. I'm gonna go with just 100. Then we have the option for third person. I'm not really sure about this yet in this game. I'm just gonna leave it at 80. I'm gonna put it at 80 myself. Then brightness, you know, that's just, you know, depending on your TV itself. Now the safe area, this is the thing I would recommend changing around some. So if you go ahead and look at this, I've got my safe area moved down as small as it can. So that's by moving the top arrow and the left arrow, you know, to where, you know, just go ahead and squeeze it all the way down. Now the reason for this, you can see right here in the video, You see the mini map at the top left, all your stuff is kind of scrunched a little bit more in the middle, but you're not having to look so far up to the top left in gunfights and stuff to kind of look at the mini map to see where your enemies and stuff are. It is a preference, but I've been doing it lately and it has worked pretty well for me. So anyway, guys, I just want to share those little tips and tricks for you. I know a lot of people, if you're new to COD, you just kind of jump right into it and you play at the default settings. I guarantee if you change a lot of these, some of them, you know, you're just dependent on, like I said, if you have stick drift, different things like that. But a lot of those things, make sure to change those because it'll change your gameplay a whole lot better and give you a better experience overall, especially turning off motion blur, different things like that. So guys, I hope this video helped you guys out. If it did, go ahead and give the video a like. It really, really helps out the channel more than you know. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you did enjoy this video, if it did help you out, go ahead and hit the sub button and bell notification so it'll send you right back here anytime I post a video. But as always, guys, I'll catch you next time in the next video.